Ever watch a political event and think, that doesn't add up? You see leaders speak, laws pass, wars start, and the official story feels thin. It's like a puppet show where you can't see the puppeteer, but you know someone's pulling the strings. We're told the elected officials are in charge, but our gut says otherwise. This is where the idea of the deep state begins. A hidden network of power, operating behind the scenes, regardless of who's in office. Once a fringe idea, it's now at the center of political debate, shaping elections and shaking governments worldwide. Imagine you're a new manager at a massive old company. Every time you try to change things, the long-timers quietly block you, keeping the old ways intact. Scale that up to a country. That's the deep state theory in a nutshell. It's the idea of a parallel government, unelected officials, intelligence operatives, military leaders, and corporate titans, loyal to their own agenda. Presidents come and go, but this hidden establishment remains, the ultimate insiders. They know where the bodies are buried because, as the theory goes, they supplied the shovels. And in 2025, this idea is more relevant than ever. The term deep state didn't start in America. It began in 1990s Turkey as Derin Devlet, describing a shadowy network of military, intelligence, and organized crime, operating above the law. In Turkey, it wasn't just a theory, it was a lived reality, blamed for coups and political violence. The idea spread, landing in the US during the 2010s, fueled by political polarization and distrust. It exploded during Trump's presidency, morphing into a narrative about FBI agents, bureaucrats, and never-Trumpers sabotaging a president. In Europe, the deep state is seen in the faceless bureaucracy of the EU, unelected technocrats and old power networks dictating policy. For movements like Brexit, the enemy wasn't just EU laws, but this unaccountable power structure. Whether in Ankara, Washington, or Brussels, the story is the same: hidden power, decisions made behind closed doors, democracy as theater. This narrative has become a potent force, fueling populist movements worldwide. So, who's in the deep state? Believers say it's not a club, but a loose network with a shared interest in keeping the status quo. At the top, intelligence agencies, CIA, MI6, BND, operating in secrecy, shielded by national security. Next, the military-industrial complex, defense contractors and generals whose profits depend on perpetual readiness for war. Then, global financial institutions, Wall Street banks, the IMF, the World Bank, controlling trillions and shaping national policies. And finally, senior civil servants, the permanent bureaucracy, outlasting presidents and prime ministers, quietly steering the ship. These groups, spies, generals, bankers, bureaucrats, form the invisible architecture of power. They're the constants beneath the surface of democratic politics. The deep state, as the theory goes, is the machinery that keeps running, no matter who's in charge. If the deep state was a hot topic before, Trump's return in 2025 has turned it into a political firestorm. The administration isn't just talking about the deep state, it's waging war on it, with real-world consequences. After defeating Kamala Harris, Trump launched a revolution of common sense, targeting the federal bureaucracy. Executive orders have reclassified thousands of civil servant jobs, allowing mass firings of those deemed disloyal. Agencies like the EPA and Department of Education face massive staff cuts. USAID's grants have been slashed. The Department of Justice has been purged and political opponents targeted. Internationally, the US has slapped tariffs on the EU, pulled out of global agreements, and redefined alliances. Leaked chats show top officials mocking European allies, while US support for Ukraine now comes with strings attached, control over mineral resources. This isn't just policy. It's a real-time experiment in dismantling the so-called deep state. The old order is crumbling, and the world is watching. What happens when a leader who believes in the deep state gets the power to tear it down? How did the deep state go from obscure theory to dinner table debate? The answer: the internet. Social media shattered the old gatekeepers. Now, information and misinformation spread instantly. Algorithms reward engagement, And nothing engages like a secret cabal story that confirms your suspicions. Platforms like YouTube and X create echo chambers, feeding users a steady diet of conspiracy content. A politician hints at shadowy forces, the clip goes viral, spawning memes, hashtags, and elaborate online theories. The digital world bypasses traditional journalism, letting these ideas reach millions unfiltered. Technology has also empowered citizen investigators, tracking flights, analyzing leaks, exposing real secrets. But it's a double-edged sword. Healthy skepticism can quickly spiral into wild speculation. In this environment, separating fact from fiction is harder than ever. The deep state thrives in the chaos of the digital age. Before we all start seeing conspiracies everywhere, let's hear from the skeptics. Experts say, yes, powerful unelected groups exist and influence policy, but that's not the same as a unified cabal running the country. Government is messy, full of competing agencies and interests, not a single secret society. What's called deep state sabotage is often just bureaucratic resistance, sometimes frustrating, but also a safeguard against rash decisions. Civil servants may push back because they believe a policy is unworkable, not because they're plotting in secret. This inertia can be a crucial guardrail for democracy. The deep state theory, critics argue, oversimplifies a complex reality, but its appeal is clear. In a world of low trust and high confusion, it offers a simple villain. It's easier to blame a shadowy cabal than grapple with the messy realities of governance. The truth is far more complicated and less satisfying than any single theory. So here we are, caught between explosive headlines and expert warnings. Real events, wars, leaks, scandals, prove that secretive power exists and sometimes misleads the public. Decades of broken promises and inequality fuel the sense that the system is rigged. But experts remind us, government is more chaos than conspiracy, more competing interests than hidden hands. Seeing a plot behind every corner can be as dangerous as blind trust. The deep state debate is really about the nature of power in the 21st century, diffuse, complex, and often invisible. The theory is a modern myth, trying to make sense of a world that feels out of control. Is the deep state a real conspiracy, a paranoid fantasy, or just a label for messy, unseen machinery? The fact that we keep asking shows how deep our distrust runs. Even if there's no man behind the curtain, maybe the machine is designed to run on its own.